Hello, MGTOW. Hello, men. This is Howard Dare. Thanks for stopping by. So, I want to talk about 5 reasons to not date single mothers. Number 1. The number 1 reason to not date a single mother is she's made some really bad choices, obviously. And you've got to look at someone's past and the decisions that they've made in the past and say to yourself, this is a predictor of the decisions and the quality of the decisions they're going to make in the future. And, depending on the circumstances, right? So like if the woman was married to a man who went to war, okay, well, not her fault. She didn't make a bad decision. But if she just, slept with some guy that was the wrong kind of man, and now she's a single mother, do you really want to align yourself with somebody who's demonstrated such poor judgment? And would you be surprised when they exhibit this poor judgment in other matters? So let a person's past and their behavior give you some insight as to what they're going to do in the future. And there could be nothing worse that a mother could do for a child, than to get rid of one of its parents, to not provide it with a safe, secure, loving environment. I mean, they've already failed at the most fundamental basic thing, you know what I mean? So it's like, oh, I mean, I understand, she's very attractive or something like that. Yeah, that's true, right? I've seen some very attractive single mothers, it's like very impressive. Anyway, moving on. Number 2, the second reason not to get together with single mothers is her priority is going to have to be to take care of the child and look after the child. In other words, there's no way that you could ever be anything other than second fiddle. At best. And in my opinion, what's going to happen is that you're not even going to be second fiddle. You're going to be, the person who cleans up afterwards. That's what you're going to be. You're going to be the janitor. In other words, if you get involved with a single mother who's already demonstrated, poor judgment, her priorities in life are going to be something you're going to come way, way down the line. So having any sort of expectation of any sort of emotional, interaction, it's absurd, with a single mother, right? What you're going to get is you're going to get frustration and you're going to get manipulation and you're going to get problems. And you really can't expect anything else. You can't anticipate anything else. Okay, moving on. Number 3 reason to not get involved with single mothers. She's going to have financial problems as well, right? She's going to make poor life choices. She's not going to care about anybody else in her life. And she's going to have financial problems, right? Which it's like, it's like, I don't know how anybody could be surprised, and she's got financial problems. It's like, yeah, of course, right? I'm hoping at this point you guys can anticipate some of the other problems that are coming on down the road. And, the thing is with the financial problems is it's a question of whether or not a person can control their appetite is what it is, right? It's not a question of, gee, do you have enough to live within your means? It's a question of, can you control yourself? And then can you discipline yourself? And if you can do those 2 things, you can earn money. But if you can't do those 2 things in that order, no matter how much money you earn, you're going to lose it. It's not going to be enough. So, it's a complete picture, right? I hope that's coming clear, that it's the complete picture. So, we could definitely take this as a lesson, right? The single mother has she's failed to see the long-term situation. She's failed to see the long game, right? She's gotten together, she's had a child, and she's in no position to raise it, to support it, to provide for it, and to give it a better life. So then why'd she do it? And this idea that we as a society have to be compassionate towards this, it's like, I don't know. I mean, maybe you're being compassionate towards the stupidity rather than being compassionate towards the people that are involved. I mean, if you were compassionate towards the people that were involved in it, you would educate them a little better, wouldn't you? You would inform them a little better, wouldn't you? You would help them avoid getting into this situation where they now become a dependent. Oh, it's human nature that, the women just can't help, right? The stupid women just can't help getting together with, the first guy that they're attracted to and having children and then, having some sort of an emotional problem, chasing the father away, not really developing, a relationship to raise the child in, a family. Also now you're just going to give it free money. You're going to give her free money and just kind of encourage the situation. And where would a woman who's having a child ever want to be a feminist and ever hate men? You know what I mean? There's a huge tip-off right there, okay? If the single mother has any sort of feminist leanings, it's like, oh my God, not only have you done something really stupid that someone else on every level is going to have to pay the price for, but now you're doubling down. Now you're compounding the error. You know what I mean? Now you're not even able to say, maybe I could use a decent man, right? Like, no, she can't do it. So these are, signs of a person's character and judgment, and it's like checking out a sword, okay? It could be a really expensive, it could even be a famous sword, but you need to look at the construction of it. You need to look at the condition of it. You need to look at what it's gone through. And you need to be able to see inside of it. Now, maybe you can't do an x-ray of a person's character, but you can see what they've been through, what shaped it, where it's come from, what the flaws are, what the weaknesses are. Now, we all have similar weaknesses. We are all based on this pleasure principle. We all want the most for the least amount of effort, right? But when you see this taken too far, like the person who can't control their appetite and turns and, becomes overweight and obese and disgusting, and then they won't do the things necessary to take care of their health, and then they can't even admit, where their problems were because, they wouldn't be able to maintain any sort of a self-image. So they're walking around in this, retarded like delusion. That's pretty much the reason why you don't want to be involved with a single mother, right? You don't want to take a broken sword into battle either, or a flawed sword, That's what I'm saying. It may not be broken, but it might be fundamentally flawed. And one of the things I've learned in life is that, you've really got to look at a person's character, because in the end, that's what's going to come through. So it doesn't matter what they're really saying. It doesn't matter what they have. It only matters as these things demonstrate what they are. And that's what you're working with. That's your starting material. It's not even just someone's intention. It's more than just intention, because we can tell what your intention is by your results. Now, not all the time, because we have to be aware of your condition, right? So if a woman, is, I don't know, she's having children and the man goes to war, maybe she did make a good choice, you know what I mean? And fortune and circumstances, took that apart. So the question becomes a larger question of what part does fortune play in the fate of an individual? And let's be fair, it plays some part. You want to say 50%? Sure. In a normal situation, let's just say 50%. And that still means that people of character and discipline and vision who come from a good place, they're going to come through. Because even though fate and fortune might disfavor them half of the time, they're going to keep trying. They're not motivated by trivial, temporary rewards. So what you're looking at, here with the single mother, is you're looking at somebody who can't deny their momentary, temporary desires. From a female having a child point of view, you can understand that, their wants and their needs do become this larger priority and have this whole emotional physiology associated with it, right? So this is where the men that really serve the women and who worship the women, it's like, no, you're not doing them any favors by being in that kind of an emotional state and being subject to their emotional whims. This is why I say that the only respectable way for a man to go is the MGTOW way. Now, some men would say that means that he doesn't have any involvement with women. It just means, but I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, I say that a man has to find his own way before he can be with anybody else anyway. I say that a man going the way of women, or MGTOW, right? It's got that extra ow at the end. I say that that's a weak way. I say that's the wrong way. And I say that women don't respect that. And what we are witnessing now is the women's contempt and hatred for the blue pill man. And he's being destroyed. And the blue pill world is being destroyed with him. And we're all in that lifeboat now. So now the man has to go MGTOW. If he worships the women, she'll rip him to pieces. So will the society. So will the civilization. He'll become a cuckold. He'll get together with an attractive woman and look after another man's child. And everybody around him will say, it's the good thing to do. Because children need love and a male influence. Right? Of course I'm right. But if that were true, then where is that male? Where was that original father? Why was he driven out? Why are you being brought in as a substitute? If this was true, right? If those principles were true, that they're telling you to justify your sacrifice, then why didn't they hold true to them in the first place? They didn't. So this is the thing of virtue. You know what I mean? When people without virtue use the call of virtue on somebody who has virtue to manipulate them. So that's exactly what's happening right now with men. And, when you're dealing with the government, you're saying, why does the government do this? Why are the politicians letting in, all of these refugees to destroy, the native populations and their tax base? That's not the right thing to do. It's like, well, there's the price of virtue, right? Because you've got virtue and you're looking at it from that point of view. They're not. They're looking at it. Had a little sound problem there, people. Yeah, they're looking at it from a practical, single mother point of view, right? They're looking at it from, getting next month's bills paid point of view. So that's what you're dealing with when you're dealing with a single mother, right? You're dealing with somebody who has no ability, to look into the future, who has no ability to discipline themselves in the present. This is your major group think, you know what I mean? This is the social group that they want you to go along with so that you can be this kind of a dependent and so that you can be part of that group. It's like, well, are you suggesting that a person should, have to be responsible for what they eat, for what they do, and for who they sleep with? Are you suggesting that? It's like, yes, I am. I'm suggesting complete personal responsibility. But I am aware that people are in the circumstances that they're in, and that these emotional situations can have this huge impact on people. And when you're a young person, you're not even aware of it. It's like, say you've got an alcoholic, mother or father, right? And they're manipulating and shaming you to do various things and to, to do them favors and to make their life easier because that's a good thing to do. It's like, well, what the hell? What about the good thing by you? What was the good thing by you that they were supposed to do? So don't let yourself be, manipulated by people who don't have virtue. I'm not suggesting that you don't have virtue. I'm saying don't let yourself be manipulated by people who don't have virtue, and use your virtue to enhance the world around you, to find the people that you think are worthy of, interacting with, and then just be friends, try to help them out, whatever. I'm not going into serious details here. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But you don't want to take care of another man's child. You don't want to do it. And let's take this comparison of the single mother and let's bring it out to the nation level, because we are a cuckolded nation. We are taking care of all of these single mothers and all of these feminists' children's, all of their children, all of their wants and needs. But these women, right, they're not our partners. They're not our spouses. They're not our wives. They're not our girlfriends. They're not our mistresses. They find fault. They shame. They belittle. They use the guilt and the shame and the attack, and the appeal of the virtue of civilization to take care of their wants, their needs, which is a sign of their lack of character and weakness. And they don't have those virtues, right? They're just like the parent that's manipulating the child into doing them favors, into doing things for them and taking care of them because it's the right thing to do. When the right thing to do was for that parent to build up that child and to make it a strong, independent individual. Now, I'll be honest with you, that parent didn't have those qualities either, right? So it's not like they were able to instill those qualities, but they should have recognized, you know what I mean? They should have recognized that they were not the that they were not the type of person that they wanted their children to be, that they wanted their children to be better people than they were, right? But they don't do that. In some cases they do, right? There's plenty of good parents out there, of course. But I think you guys understand what I'm trying to say about not getting involved with the single mothers. And I think that it's a great metaphor in comparison for what we as a country, as a nation, as a civilization are doing. Okay? I'm sorry. Now, you might say, well, Howard, what are you going to do? If you're not going to give all these, single mothers welfare and free food and all these free services, then they're going to starve and they're going to die and their children are going to suffer. And, or they might just get a job, you know what I mean? Or they might just start losing weight, or they might just start being expedient in how they, deal with their lives, or rather, they might not use expediency as their number one calling in life. You know what I mean? They might start planning for the future and things like that. So, we are enabling a nation, a civilization of single mothers and feminists, and they use guilt and an appeal to the virtue of people when they themselves do not live and operate by that virtue. And that virtue that I'm talking about should be reserved for other people who fortune has, abused, who they themselves have that virtue, and by helping them, you make the world a better place. That's what we should be doing. And when we're helping people who are just, not taking care of themselves, we're shortchanging the ones that we're supposed to be taking care of. So I understand that this point might not be, perfectly clear, but I'll talk about it more in some upcoming videos. But let me know what you think about it in the comments section below. And please like, share, comment, subscribe, donate, and join me again, Howard Dare, as I plan to have more content for you. Thank you, MGTOW.